It's time for the Deep South's oldest rivalry. The question is Auburn ready?
Midweek report coming at you, brought to you by our friends at the Rage Room. If you're in the Opelika area, or if you're in Birmingham, 10 2nd Avenue in Opelika, 2616 7th Ave in Birmingham, Alabama. Break some windshields, bust up some car seats. You can do it all at the Rage Room. Get your rage out. Hopefully you don't have a ton of rage to get out after Saturday. But the Deep South's oldest rivalry is Saturday. If you want to do something unique after the game, the Rage Room is going to be open to you. So we appreciate them for sponsoring this segment. You guys know the deal. Join up as a patron. Ike has been on the road all year long for you guys. Let's help keep him out there by signing up as a patron. $5.99 a month will get you there. Lots of film reviews. We got some member-only live streams going on discussing popular topics going on in Auburn sports right now. You don't want to miss a single second of that conversation. So become a patron and help us out there. If patron membership isn't your steez, then maybe just a supporter membership. Lots of great perks on both levels. We appreciate all our sponsors for helping us grow our Green Name Gang. Best community here on the Auburn interwebs. You can also give the gift of the War Rapport by hitting that gifted membership button. We appreciate our community for helping us grow our community. So hundreds of gifted memberships given away the last couple weeks. We want to keep that going. Let's see if we can get 50 given away here tonight. I think 50 is a good, nice round number for the people. Also, guys, check us out on podcast, every single podcast platform. We are there bringing you guys lots of great audio only content. The Auburn Express, Up-Tempo, College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Rapport gaming channel. Lots of great content for you guys in audio only format. We're posting every single day, multiple times a day on audio. You guys don't want to miss a single second of that either. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop has something that has you covered. If you got some traditional ailments that could use some non-traditional remedies, the Rogue Shop could be the place for you. Our guy Richard, drop a little some extra special in there for everybody using code REPORT today. Please visit them. Let them know the War Rapport sent you. They got friends at AIM and Associates. That's Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates. Some people think financial advisors are only for the ultra wealthy. Not true. At Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates, there's no minimum balance. Whether you're just starting out, building your career, or planning for retirement, they meet you where you are. It's about honest advice, clear guidance, and helping everyday people reach their financial goals. Call AIMA at 912-777-4128 or visit AIMAINC.com. It's advice built for real life. The War Rapport has been compensated by Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates for this endorsement. AIMA is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be considered personalized investment advice. All investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. That's right across the street from Chattahoochee Valley Community College, next to Renfro Supermarket and the Marco's Pizza. The Vibe Vault. Get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault, not just barbers, lifestyle consultants.
Yes, indeed. We are here on a Wednesday night, of course, previewing the next game. That next game happens to be Auburn versus Georgia, the Deep South's oldest rivalry, and hasn't been much of a rivalry lately because Auburn hadn't been winning very much lately. You know what I mean? Like, let's keep it a buck. Auburn hadn't been winning this game very much, and if we're keeping it all the way a buck, it ain't looking too good for this edition of it, the way Auburn's offense has been out here performing. And yet and still, Auburn has an opportunity to go out here and right the wrongs from this season so far. We take a look at the head-to-head matchup between these two teams. Georgia coming in 4-1, fresh off of a thorough beatdown. The scoreboard didn't necessarily say beatdown, but if you watch that game, they really handled Kentucky in that game. Auburn 3-2 on the season after two very disappointing offensive performances on the road. Jordan-Hare Stadium, 6:30. This game may get pushed back to about 6:45, but on ABC this coming Saturday, Georgia's favored by 3.5 points. The over-under 46.5. So not a lot of scoring being expected from Vegas. When you look at the two defenses and how they've stacked up so far this season, it's very easy to see that. Georgia leads the series in this one. I was looking at the numbers on this, and actually Georgia has done better on the road in this series. So that doesn't look too good for Auburn either. The last matchup last season, Georgia won 31-13. Mike G, we are in a position as Auburn folk trying to find a way to keep the positivity rolling coming off of a bye week. What are you expecting to see from this Auburn team out here versus Georgia and one of the better teams in the conference? Like, let's just say what it is. Though they lost that game to Alabama, they're still a very good football team this year.
They were my pick to win the SEC at SEC Media Days. I haven't backed off of that. I think Alabama will flounder at some point along the way, despite beating Georgia. But for everybody who was in the comment section the last couple weeks in the lead up to this game saying, why don't y'all talk about something else? Like, these are the same old storylines for 2 weeks. I get it. I completely understand where you're coming from. We desperately need Auburn to give us something else to talk about this Saturday. By moving the football, by running the football, despite whatever the outcome is, we cannot be having a conversation about why Hugh Freeze didn't run the football after Saturday. You absolutely cannot. You are at home. That he's got to erase that storyline. Before we started recording, we were talking about Hugh Freeze on the SEC teleconference and him saying, hey, it's not about me. It's about these guys. I think it is about you and what you are choosing to do in this game and how you're choosing to handle this. So until such a time as your team performs at a level that, it is not about you truly, then, it's about you. I don't think anybody has any questions about the talent and what they're capable of. They came out and they said some things, man, this week that were perplexing to me. Apparently, Xavier Chaplin's got a hearing issue. And is that something they got to listen to the injury report? I don't. Why tell us that at this point?
Speaking of I don't think they've released it yet.
It's Wednesday nights, right?
Yeah.
So I've got some. I have always had questions about this coach and messaging, and people have started message board threads talking about, here go Mike G again talking about messaging and blah blah blah. Well, now everybody's talking about it. So this week, there is no comforting message for Auburn fans. This is what I'm here to tell you. There's nothing I can say or Ike is going to say that's going to make you feel any better. They just have to go out and do. They have to go out and win.
I could say plenty of things if you're looking for something to make you feel better, but nothing I say is going to change the reality of what's actually happening out there on the field, right? Like, I can tell you all the reasons why I think Auburn could win this game. And if you are already of the mindset that is just sunshine pump or, whatever they got to show me, then none of what I'm going to say matters very much to you, right? Like, I can outline ways Auburn gets this dub and feel very confident about those things. I can also tell you all the reasons why I feel like Auburn's going to lose this game.
I've said this. Auburn could absolutely go out and win this game. It was the only game I had on the schedule firmly in the loss column. Hope to be wrong about that, but they could go out and win this game. But nothing to your point, kind of like nothing you or I are going to say about this game, I think is going to make anybody feel differently about what they've seen to this point. So they have to go do something differently for people to feel differently. And that's where I respectfully disagree with Hugh. I think it is about you, because I think most of the questions are
I
about
think
you.
that's slightly taking his comments out of context, though. He was asked specifically about whether or not he felt like he was coaching for his job, and he's like, I don't want the story to be about my job. It's about the guys.
That's fair.
Like, let's talk about the players, and let's talk about this game. Like, don't.
Yeah.
My job's the status of my job is not what this game is about. This game is about winning a football game.
Yeah. I don't know if in my mind, I don't know if you can separate those two storylines at this point in the season. Those two conversations are somewhat intertwined together. And there's been a lot of talk about a lot of things this week about the future of Auburn athletics and moving games and doing all this stuff, right? And I mean, the bottom line is, if you're winning, all these conversations are more positive. You had 2 shots on the road. Your defense gave you 2 opportunities at the ends of games to go get a touchdown and win with plenty of time left on the clock. Not improbable, like last-minute drives. 2-3 minutes on the clock in college football, a lifetime to go down the field and go 80 yards and score a touchdown and win. You didn't generate 1 first down in either of those scenarios. So it's gotta look different. I said this about A&M. It wasn't that they lost; it was how they lost. I think that left a lot of people, very, very sour about the prospects of this game. And that being said, man, I'm telling you, they've got some dogs on this team, and if they can create the sort of opportunities offensively versus Georgia that they did versus Oklahoma, I think they got a good shot to win this game at home. And the defense plays up to snuff. And, look, man, Tennessee put up a whole lot of points on Georgia. So, that defense can be got. Just look at the spread here. It opened at 3.5. It hasn't moved. The Vegas guys think this is a coin flip.
Yeah, I mean, listen, when you look at the statistics for this, and I have definitely been taking a look at it, you're talking about 2 defenses that have been stingy. The Auburn defense right now surrendering 16 points per game. Georgia surrendering 18 points per game. Right? Like, these are 2 defenses that have not been giving up a lot of points through 5 games this season. You're talking about 2 teams that are holding opponents under 90 yards per game rushing. Both
82 for Georgia, 88 for Auburn.
Yes.
Yeah. Man, I'm telling you, the number off, like, when you look at the defensive numbers, they're as evenly matched as 2 teams can be in a conference.
Yeah.
Right. The question is, the gap shows up by about 100 yards offensively.
And it's in the passing game primarily, right? Like, rushing game, I don't even know that it's fair to compare the rushing numbers for Auburn and Alabama, considering Auburn has abandoned the run.
The averages, they're
yards per rush. I think that Auburn's still doing really well, but it's the passing game. 173 yards per game right now for Auburn passing. That's anemic. Like, there are service academies that put up 173 yards per game, and they don't ever throw the ball. But Georgia has thrown for 232 so far per game this season. And that's really where the difference is. And Georgia is really not a passing team, right? 232 is not a lot. 232 is kind of pedestrian, right? But they are primarily a rushing team, averaging 207 on the ground. And a lot of it is the legs of Gunnar Stockton, which is, for me, a little surprising. I'm not gonna lie, I didn't think Gunnar Stockton was going to be as much of a running threat as he's been so far this season for Georgia, but he's absolutely been a guy that you have to account for in the run game. And Mike Bobo has done, for all of what people don't like about Mike Bobo, he's done a good job of finding ways to adapt his offense to a different style quarterback this season than he had in the last season.
Yeah, well, Gunnar Stockton has hit deep shots in spot, like, he's hit big plays in spots this season, and in the right spots, though. So while the numbers may not be super gaudy, when they've needed a play, he's delivered. It's the timeliness of the plays that he's making that's impressive coming from
And
his
that's
arm.
that's really kind of the story of this Georgia team this year, right? Like their
Yeah.
defense has I just read the defensive numbers there. You're talking about, again, a team that's only averaging giving up 88 yards on the ground. They're giving up 228 through the air, which it's not a lot, but it's definitely a significantly larger amount than you're giving up on the ground. But though they have been playing not as good in their pass rush or their ability to stop passers, what they've been is very timely defensively. So just the way that you described Gunnar Stockton and how maybe he doesn't look good a lot, but when they need it on 3rd and long, or they need a big throw in the 4th down, he figures it out. Second halves of these games, this Georgia offense has looked very different than the first halves of these games. And Gunnar Stockton is a guy who's been resilient, and they've made the right adjustments. But that's really kind of the story of this Georgia team. They're resilient. They are not you're not going to knock them out in the first half of a game and think it's over with. You better come play 4 quarters of football, or you're going to be sad at the end of the game.
Yeah, look, Auburn has got to get out to a lead in this one. Auburn. I'm going to tell you, Auburn will not win this game if they are not leading at halftime, or at least tied at halftime. Auburn goes into the half with the deficit, they're not going to win.
I mean, I don't think that that's an unfair statement, considering what Auburn has been in second halves of games, even against not great competition. They just haven't looked good in the second halves of games. And I think a lot of that is because, we talk about the conversation with Coach Freeze and coaching for his job. He's been coaching to not lose games in the second halves of games so far this season, right? Like, I think even when you go back to the win versus Baylor, it was a very conservative approach that they took in the second half of that game. And it's because the run game actually was working that it worked, right? But I don't know that you can take your foot off of the gas versus Georgia and say, we're going to play ball control and just try to run the ball, even if it worked in the first half. And I just think this Georgia team's too good versus the run for that to be, you have to figure out how to be a passing team in this game. As much as we've been talking about, you got to run the ball. You have to figure out how to be effective through the air versus this Georgia team, because they're just not going to give you a lot on the ground.
Yeah, look, you need some balance. You need some balance in this game. If you're going to play one-dimensional football, just good luck against Georgia. I don't think they're the team that you can just line up and ram it down their throats like you did Baylor. That's not going to work. They're just too good. Kirby Smart is too good. His scheme is too good, and they are super good at halftime adjustments defensively. This is why I say it's so important for Auburn to get out to a lead in this football game at the half, because they're going to adjust, and it's going to be Auburn trying to hit the big play and hold on for dear life and find just enough points in the second. I think you can get 14 second half points in this game and go into the lead into halftime I think they have a shot. They'll have a shot to win. What you can't have is third quarters like you did versus Texas A&M.
Yeah.
Like you can't have
you can't have that ever again in life. I don't ever want to see another third quarter like that Texas A&M game where and again, when you go back and you look at the film, the statistics are what they are, but Auburn had their opportunities. The execution was absolutely abysmal. And then some of the situational play calling was just like, yo, what are we doing right now?
What are we doing?
I don't even understand what the thought concept or the thought process was that led to this particular call in this scenario. And I think Charlie 5, our guy Kyle, said this when I was on with him earlier this week. He was like, the difference between what Auburn was in that Baylor game and what Auburn seemed to have turned into for Texas A&M was it seemed patient versus Baylor, and it seemed panicked versus Texas A&M at a game where you weren't behind by more than 10 points at any point in time in that game. But you were calling plays as if you were down by 20. And so it just didn't seem to make a lot of sense that you abandoned the run so quickly. You put yourself behind the chains so much with, incomplete pass here, sack here, false start here, like a lot of things that I think could have been avoidable had you just had a better commitment to the run game. And now you're going up against a team where running the ball might not even be an option. So all of the stuff that you could have done to prepare yourself and maybe give yourself the cushion that we've talked about as far as the win-loss record, you pissed that away. That's gone.
Yeah.
So now you got to figure out how to go win a game that against a team that's going to take away what is actually your strength. And now you got to play with your left hand. I don't know, bro. Like, I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough game, but it was always going to be a tough game. And you've got to figure out how to win tough games. That's life in the SEC. There's no cakewalk from week to week. You got to figure out how to. You've played 2 SEC games, and you've had 2 very, very difficult SEC games. I will, till I die, I will say the refs stole Oklahoma from Auburn.
Yeah, and I guess that's the thing that's most frustrating is that you had one and it was taken away from you.
Yeah,
and you wouldn't be in this conversation, or at least the conversation wouldn't be what it is right now had that gone a different way. But regardless of all that, I don't know that you could have won that Oklahoma game and looked as bad as you looked versus Texas A&M and people feel good going into this game at all.
For sure, yeah, but also it would be easier to move past that. This as an anomaly, at least somewhat mentally. It's just easier for people. 0-2 to start SEC play just hits differently. But the reality is you were always going to be in a position where getting 1 out of your first 3 toughest games in the conference was going to be a good start to your first 6-game stretch. We said that repeatedly before the season. You just did not want Georgia to have to be the one that you had to get, albeit at home, the only one that's at home. You didn't want that one. Go on the road, beat A&M, which or beat Oklahoma, and do your best against Georgia. So they can still, like Hugh Freeze said this earlier this week. I think it remains true. And if you're looking for some positivity before Saturday, because after Saturday, I don't know what we're going to say about it. It depends on how they do. Your whole season is still in front of you right now.
Yeah.
There's not a goal that Auburn has for this season that cannot be achieved as of today. But you got to win on Saturday. Now, when you look at where the SEC is at, almost the entire conference, Ike, has their whole season in front of them. It's actually remarkable when you look at the standings. So let's what does that look like? Well, if you look at the SEC as it stands right now, obviously Ole Miss, that kills me. They're the highest rated AP team as of today, 3-0 in conference, 5-0 overall. A&M is undefeated, 5-0, 2-0 in conference. Alabama, 4-1, 2-0 in conference. Missouri, undefeated, 1-0 in conference. Oklahoma, undefeated, 1-0 in conference. Georgia, 4-1, 2-1 in conference. LSU, 4-1, 1-1 in conference. Their whole season's still in front of them. Vanderbilt, 5-1, 1-1 in conference. Their season's in front of them. Tennessee, right? That's the first 9 teams are all rated 20 or higher. Vanderbilt is the lowest at 20. Everybody else is 14 or better.
Right.
And of the unranked teams, technically, their whole seasons are still in front of them. Florida just beat Texas. They're 1-1 in conference. All their goals are still in front of them. South Carolina's 1-2. Unless you're sitting here with 3 losses, your entire season in conference, your entire season is still in front of you. And the only team in that category right now is Kentucky. If you're Auburn, you can't join the rank. You can't join the 0-3 ranks, man, this Saturday. That puts you in the elimination category. But even Mississippi State is sitting here at 4-2, 0-2 in conference, but their whole season is still in front of them. Arkansas only they fired their coach. But they're 2-3, so their whole season is not in front of them. But like 0-1 in conference, they only play 1 conference game. They're Dunskies though. They're done. They're Dunskies. I wish all bad things on Bobby Petrino. Like all the terrible things in life, I wish on you and only you.
This is going to be an interesting game for them to see because he was the play caller. So the offense isn't going to change very much, but they did make some wholesale changes on the defensive staff. So it's going to be very interesting to
Fire
see how
Travis
that.
Williams. So like,
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Like, I mean, knowing what's going on there, I'm telling you, I wish all bad things on Petrino. He's a snake. He's always been a snake. He's never done anything. That man has never done anything on the up and up in his entire life. I just don't like. And people just keep hiring him because he's a good offensive football mind and he can work with quarterbacks. But like, seriously, screw that guy. Texas. I mean, look at where they're at right now, man. They're 3-2. Their season is as much
highlights
as Auburn right now.
This highlights again for me the thing that it frustrates me because I understand it, but it frustrates me so much about Auburn and the fan base is that you can say that and everyone will say to themselves for the vast majority of that list, oh, they still have a shot. Oh, they still have a shot. Look, they can still go out here. But Auburn fans will never concede that for Auburn. As terrible as Texas has looked, people are still like, well, if they go out there and they beat Oklahoma, then, watch out for Texas. Bama looked like absolute dog water the first week of the season versus Florida State. And people are still hanging on to, but it's Bama. Auburn has, and this is partially Auburn's fault, so don't get me wrong. Auburn has not earned the right for people to feel as if they can be the comeback story that a team like Baylor was last season and finish out strong, or South Carolina was last year. They haven't, and especially they have not looked like that under Coach Hugh Freeze. But it feels as if nobody ever says to themselves, man, if they could just get right here, we can roll off a few games. But it's always the most depressing, oh my God, they're terrible. They're never, and the story this year isn't going to be that they aren't talented enough to be able to do that. To your point, the story is going to be, are you going to coach your way into a position where you can finish? Because I don't know. I really don't know what it is about Billy Napier where he prefers to do this rope-a-dope thing every year. It's like, well, we're going to look terrible and then go surprise people on the back half of their schedule. But for some reason, he finds ways to win games when he's coaching for his job. Can Hugh Freeze can he conjure a little Billy Napier this season is the question that you have to ask yourself.
Yeah, it's my guy John Tweets Sports said this about Steve Sarkisian as well too. He said Steve Sarkisian is 2-8 versus top 10 teams at Texas. He's 5-18 versus top 10 teams all time. Last season, he played one SEC team who finished the season ranked and lost to that team twice. Now, the L to Florida. When do we start talking about Sark the way we talk about James Franklin? I was like, yeah, I get it. I understand it. But they've been a lot, again, in recent memory, they've been a lot closer. It just hits different when your team made the playoff last year.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think James Franklin or Steve Sarkisian it should be in hot seat fire the coach conversations. They've earned the right to say, hey, I'm a good football coach. I put my teams in position to be able to be there at the end of the season. The unfortunate reality is through 2.5, almost half a season now, Coach Freeze doesn't have that conversation to have.
Yeah,
he just doesn't. Like there is no conversation to be had about him putting his teams in positions to be in a college football playoff.
But a win versus Georgia would spark that, though. And
it'd be that win that we've been talking about. He hasn't had that big win. He hasn't had a signature win. This would be it. This is gonna like at home doesn't matter. This is a signature win if you can go get it.
Yeah, no matter how you win it. This is one of those no matter how you win it. Now, I would prefer to see them win it with some game busters offense because I don't see a world where they win without it. But with at least a decent offense, but offensive showing, I should say. And yeah, this is it. This would be the game. This is the game that you can say finally logged one. Now I got to go get it. Because if Ryan Day can finally get over his hump and win a national title, it's just hard. It's hard to believe that Freeze can't do it at a place where it's been done by coaches who of lesser, I think, football acumen. Yeah, I don't know, man. Gene Chizik won a national title here. Wire to wire, undefeated, Heisman, 13-0. or 14-0 or whatever that season was in 2010. Gus ran it all the way there. But one of the most exciting offenses we've seen on the Plains, one of the most underrated quarterbacks we've seen on the Plains, and Nick Marshall. If you're Hugh Freeze, man, you've been given such a blessing of resources to be able to go out and build the type of team that should be able to compete. If you beat Georgia, you can change that conversation, and then you got to hope for a miracle run like South Carolina had at the end of their season last year, where they won 6 straight and at least got themselves in the conversation at the end.
Yeah.
They had a couple games stolen from them last year too.
Did
I think that Bama game was stolen from them? What was the other game they played?
LSU?
LSU was stolen from them. Yeah, LSU was the more egregious of the two.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at what these guys are doing, and I'm just thinking, man, you are technically 15th out of 16 teams in conference right now, and you're still in the conversation going into game 6. Beat Georgia, you rocket up that. You jump back into the top 25, you're 4-2, and then you get Missouri coming to your house. If you're Auburn, you got what? 5 home games left. If you can sweep home and win 1 on the road, you're potentially in the playoffs, like.
Right. And again, I know that's super far-fetched and all of the whatever you're thinking right now as you're rewatching this, because most of the people who are rewatching are the ones that are going to go absolutely crazy about what you just said. Whatever you're thinking right now, you're not wrong, right? And neither of us are sitting here saying that is a likely outcome.
Scenario. Yes,
we're saying that it is a possible scenario.
Yeah.
Now, again, in the multiverse of madness out there, yes, there is a scenario in which Auburn is in a conversation still to be in the college football playoff. And that, I hope, is the thing that keeps the players motivated to go out there and still give their best effort this Saturday, because it's true. I don't care what's happened prior to this point. The reality is, every single thing you set out to say that you wanted to have before this season ends is still within your reach right now. If you figure out how to just muster it up, find a way.
I got to say this. It's a personal anecdote. Like, on Monday, I did not feel the urgency from Hugh Freeze for the moment that Saturday presents. And I hope that was just a one-day press conference thing. Like, and I'm not saying he owed us to show us that or whatever. I'm saying, like, every week in and week out, he comes to that press conference and there's a mood around him every time he walks in. And, they had a bye week, so maybe he just was feeling a little bit more relaxed coming off the bye week. But I hope that the team feels the urgency headed into this one. I hope that I hope that whatever his best game is, he pulls it out of his bag Saturday. It's Georgia. You're not saving anything. This is game 6.
Yeah.
Right. I hope he coaches the best game of his life on Saturday. Because at the end of the day, his team, you need it. You can't not afford to go out and look inept in this ball game.
Yeah.
You can't, man. You can't have hope dead in October. This was not the year. Year 3 was not the year to have hope die in the middle of October. And when I say hope die, I mean, with a 3rd loss, the hope for the outlier season is gone. So now you just got to hope to hit, a 1 game over whatever the expectation for the floor, which was widely believed to be 8 games. Now 9 is a reasonable, I don't even see it a reasonable expectation, but it's still within reach. But it requires a substantial run where there's no margin for error if you lose on Saturday trying to get to 9.
And that's essentially the problem, is that you've removed your margin for error now, right? Like you squandered, you had it, like, man, you had it at Oklahoma, right? Like, Texas A&M, I don't know that Auburn played well enough to ever say that they were in that game. Xavier Atkins gave them some late life where they had the opportunity to maybe, but like, if I'm gonna be honest. I still didn't think Auburn was going to win that game after they scored that touchdown, because I was like, oh, you got to score again, which means unless the defense comes up with another miraculous play, you're not going to get close enough to make this even manageable. You've done nothing offensively, so I can't even fathom how they're going to win that game. Oklahoma was different. Oklahoma, you had opportunities to move the football. You had some shots that were available there. You blew that game despite all the things that were taken away from you and how you feel about the officiating. Like you absolutely had the ability to win that football game, and you just did not. So that one's going to sting. That one's going to hurt a lot more than Texas A&M is, even though Texas A&M was a worse performance by the team. The Oklahoma game is going to sting, because had you been able to get that one, the conversation going into this Georgia game changes drastically.
Yeah,
like it's just a very different conversation, because you only have one loss now, and now you're saying to yourself, man, if we could figure out how to beat Georgia, we could potentially be a one-loss team going into the Iron. Like that conversation starts to bubble. But now you're in the we blew all our mulligans now. We don't have no more left. This is it. We gotta make it happen now.
Yeah, well, the mulligans are definitely gone, I think. So what will we see on Saturday? Well, I hope to see a commitment to the run. I hope to see Damari and Jeremiah Cobb north of double-digit carries. I hope to see fewer rushes for Jackson Arnold and more touches for the running backs. Damari is healthy. Jeremiah is healthy. There's no reason for them to have 6 and 2 carries, respectively.
Yeah, that still baffles me. Like I don't care how many guys Texas A&M walked up there in the box. Like at some point in time, just commit and say you're going to run the dang football and put a hat on a hat and figure it out. Like stop trying to be cute and let's just make it happen. So yeah, I don't know what that was at all.
They were
we got to get to the break here, because I do want to continue this conversation on the other side of the break after we get to the comments about the Georgia pass rush and how abysmal Auburn has been in the offensive line and stopping pass rushes. But you guys are watching the Midweek Rapport. Make sure that you go ahead and share this video and like the video if you haven't already. 197 people in here. I haven't even looked to see how many people have liked the video, but I guarantee you it's not 197 of them. While this commercial break, go ahead and do that. We'll be back on the other side of this break after a word from our sponsors.
This edition of the War Report is brought to you by our generous sponsors. Golden's Cast Iron. Whether you work out, grill out, or chill out, you deserve the best life possible, and Golden's Cast Iron is here to provide the tools to help you do it. Check them out at goldenscastiron.com.
The Rage Room. The Rage Room is a place where anger and stress find their ultimate release. Set up a session today at one of the 2 great locations in Opelika or Birmingham by visiting opelika.rageroom.com or birminghamrageroom.com.
Sign up as a patron, $5.99 a month will get you there. Ike is on the road. Basketball season is coming, so I will be somewhat on the road to home games there for you guys. But you guys can help keep us out in the wild by signing up for these patron memberships. We appreciate our community for helping us grow our community. You can hit that gifted membership button to help somebody else get a membership. I'm getting DMs from people saying that they got War Rapport memberships, like Locked On hosts saying, hey, I subscribed to your channel and I got a War Rapport gifted membership, Mike. I'm like, yes, I love that for you. Get in there, mix it up with the film reviews. Whole lot of fun, guys. I love knowing that people are being blessed with these things. Also, check us out on podcasts, all the podcast platforms. We are there bringing you lots of great audio-only content. You see the podcast there, guys. Auburn Express, Up Tempo, College Loop, Just a Sec, and the War Report Gaming Channel. I want to thank our friends at the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. Pain, sleep, stress, anxiety, whatever ails you in life, the Rogue Shop could have you something that has you covered. If you got some traditional ailments and you're looking for some non-traditional remedies, the Rogue Shop has some very creative things in their repertoire that could help you out. Our guy Richard, longtime sponsor of the channel, put a little something extra in there for everybody using code REPORT today. So head on over to rogueshop.com. Let them know that the War Report sent you. I want to thank our friends at SetsForSociety.ai. Tune in, stand out. Sets for Society. They've got custom personality assessments that help you know more about how you think, how those around you think, and how you guys can best think together to accomplish like goals. Knowing yourself leads to a lot of great things in life, and Sets for Society can get you started down that journey today. Again, visit them at setsforsociety.ai today to get your custom personality assessment started. Just fill out the form. They'll do the rest. I promise you, we've taken these here at the War Rapport, remarkably accurate and personally enlightening. So please go support them. We appreciate them. Last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates. Just starting out in your career, it might feel like investing is something you'll think about later, but the truth is, the earlier you start, the more time your money has to grow. Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates helps young professionals build disciplined portfolios from day one. They'll help you understand how to invest strategically, avoid common pitfalls, and create a foundation for long-term financial growth. No minimum account is required, no sales pitches, no gimmicks, just clear guidance from a team with over 20 years of experience helping clients across the country. Call AIMA at 912-777-4128 or visit AIMAINC.com to get started on the path toward financial security and freedom. The War Rapport has been compensated by Abel's Iannone Moore and Associates for this endorsement. AIMA is a registered investment advisor. Registration as an investment advisor does not imply a certain level of skill or training. The information in this advertisement is for informational purposes only and should not be considered personalized investment advice. All investing involves risks, including the potential loss of principal, and past performance is not indicative of future results.
All right, let's get back into these here comments, and we'll talk about what's been going on with the Auburn offense here. Started off, of course, with our super chats. Quite a few super chats here. A 9-time champion says UGA has 7 sacks through 5 games. If they don't get 3 at minimum, I find it difficult to think that they win in Jordan Hare. I mean, I think that's fair that if they're not going to get to the quarterback, then Auburn should have all the opportunities in the world to go out there and put up points, especially considering how talented the wide receivers are. If you're not getting to Jackson Arnold, then he's either escaping pressure a lot and getting out there and running around, or he's getting the ball out to some talented receivers and they're making things happen.
Yeah, I agree. Look, man, keep Jackson Arnold upright in this game should be the name of the game, and give him an opportunity to stand there and deliver the football right now. So when you look at Jackson Arnold's numbers on the season, Ike, PFF, one of our favorite stats that we like to look at, passing pressure and his kept clean rate. Auburn is allowing so far this season a 33.5% pressure rate on Jackson Arnold. I cannot stress that is awful and cannot continue if you want to win football games down the stretch. They've got to do better. And now, amazingly, he has a 51.9% completion percentage under pressure. So on 27 attempts, he's completed 14 of those passes. That's actually really good, all things considered. But you got to keep him clean, man. You've got to keep the quarterback clean and upright. His adjusted on the season is 74.2%. Auburn has 5 drops. So not a ton, like, 1 drop a game. I don't know. That's not terrible. Like, maybe debatable if it's only 5. You know how these drop stats.
Right.
But I think that for the most part, when receivers get a chance to make plays, when they're given a chance to catch the football, they're catching it. And so if you can protect him and he can get the ball out of his hands here in under 2.5 seconds when he's kept clean and continue to make plays on the run, Auburn will have a chance. But the 33.5% is just too much, man. It takes you out of the flow of what you're trying to do when there's constantly a guy in the backfield disrupting what you're trying to do. They've got to figure this out. And they talked about communication issues on the road. You're at home, so this shouldn't be as much of a problem this week. But I got this offensive line, man, has got to play better. They have to play better. Jake Thornton, man, I'm calling you to the carpet, bro. Get your guys motivated for this one. I don't know if they need to do hit drills in practice, or I don't know what need to happen in practice. These last 2 weeks, you had a bye week, so you had an extra week to instill some dog in them for this one. Georgia's not going to let you off the hook, man. Those guys are champions. They want to win. They know how to win. They know how to finish football games. They never believe they're out of it. So even if you kick them in the first half, I promise you they're going to come back in the second half kicking. And you've got to be good in the trenches, man. These games are won and lost right down there on the line of scrimmage.
For sure, for sure. 9-time champion. We have lost our swag, but we will never lose our lag. Definitely a lot of lag still going on out there. Again, from him says, if we lose, we got basketball a week from tonight. Basketball season is right around the corner, so a lot to be excited about with that.
Yep.
Rigger Spoon, I grew up 60 miles from Athens fighting them daily. They don't care about us anymore, and it's beyond frustrating. Our irrelevance in the eyes of our rivals. For the love of God, win the damn game. I think a lot of people are in this boat with you. Adeet says, run the dang ball, Bert. Anthony Long, Coach Hugh Freeze has been taking accountability for losses for 3 years. He's a liar. He never planned to be at Auburn for more than 3 years. He coaches like he's trying to get fired. Coaching malpractice. Wow, that's a pretty strong statement there.
Yeah, it's funny. When I said this, I used that term coaching malpractice over on the UCF channel, and they were like, they thought it was a play on Gus, malpractice, like like coaching malpractice. Yeah. And so I laughed at that. I was like, oh, 2 fan bases that have been victimized by him. 2 of them.
Mr. Gibson, passing plays take too long to develop.
Or the quarterback's holding on to the ball too long.
Yeah, I think I'm kind of in the middle on that, whether or not they're taking too long to develop, but
film,
definitely not getting the ball out quickly enough. I'll say that.
Yeah,
get
those Patreon memberships and watch this film, Ike, and it will change your view on a lot of this.
Yeah. Who are we trying to convince? We got to stop lying to ourselves and accept reality. Another 1 possession loss and 1 more moral victory. Hugh Freeze special. He's not a good head coach anymore. I don't know who's trying to convince you of that, but hey, listen, it's all good.
I get it. I get what he's trying to say here. Like, but the thing is like it's October, man. You don't want to be in a place where you're having to accept reality of anything. But the only thing that's going to change it for people like Justin is a win on Saturday.
That's it. There's no other way to change this narrative other than get the dub.
Get the dub.
Mr. Gibson, why has Auburn been questioning coaches since Tubbs? Because they haven't been winning.
Yeah, and you know what? I'll tell you this. Even though they got a national title since Tubbs, they did Tubbs dirty.
Yeah.
They did Tubbs dirty. And every once in a while, I'm just like, are we still paying for this? How we did this, man? He ran a clean program, Ike. He did things the right way. And they tried to run him out of town the year before he went undefeated. And a bunch of people got fired because a journalist did their job. And then they got him 4 years later. But the sins of our forefathers, man. Tough.
Exclusive TV did research on how Hugh produced with QBs in every winning season. The QB threw for 2,500 yards or more in each winning season. There was never a 1,000-yard rusher.
Oh, interesting.
I don't find that difficult to believe, but the yards for the running backs still are not indicative for how many times the running backs / quarterback ran, though.
But there was a 1,000-yard running quarterback, though, wasn't there?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so there was a 1,000-yard rusher, it just wasn't a running back.
Yeah, and so again, for me, it's not, and this is what Coach Hugh Freeze has been very adamant about, and the problem for me is not necessarily whether or not he's producing a 1,000-yard rusher. It's that they're not getting the opportunity. Like they're not even going to get a shot this year at 1,000 yards because you're not giving them the ball enough. So you got to at least have the attempts there to try to get close to it. So they just got to be better there. Dustin Pace jumps back in. Not only is his play calling bad, but the play design is awful. His own players can't get on the same page after 3 seasons. We are losers, gang. Dustin has gone completely to the dark place. Dustin, come back, brother. Come back.
Listen, Hugh, only you can save Dustin on Saturday. This sentiment is earned.
Yeah.
So, win on Saturday if you want him to feel differently.
9-time champion jumps back in. I miss Auburn Jesus and his random blessings.
It's
It'd be
about time
nice.
for him to show up.
It'd be nice. What kills me, Dustin, back, what kills me more than anything is we're talking about a team that is this talented, like we should be struggling to produce. It's infuriating.
Yeah.
I agree. It's definitely difficult to talk about a team with a lot of talent that's not playing like a talented team.
It's a gift and a curse, right? Like, he talked so much about the talent gap and filling the talent gap, and he did it. And we were like, okay, you did it. Congratulations, Hugh. You raised the talent floor so high. But with that comes some expectations.
Yeah.
And he said he was okay with it because giving people something to expect means that they did something good. Now they expect wins. So beat Georgia.
Anthony Long, we do not need a moral victory. If we lose by a touchdown or less, I don't want to hear crap about being close.
I agree with you.
I've said this over and over again. When you lose games, nobody really cares what the coach comes. Like, here's the thing. There's nothing, like, he could literally not say that we're close and people would still be like, I don't want to hear it. Like, there's nothing you want to hear from your coach when you lose that's going to make you feel good.
Yeah.
It's not after your third loss of the season. It's just you're not going to get any sympathy for anything that you say. Ah, man, well, blah, blah. Like, absent of being absolutely screwed by the officials again, which I don't even know that you'll get very much pity in that situation. Nobody cares.
Nobody cares.
Let's see. NH3425. If Auburn wins Saturday but finishes, let's say 7-5, is Freeze safe or fired?
Debatable.
That's too difficult to say because, again, you have to talk to me about the scenarios in which that happened, and you still have, I think, the situation where if you won 7 games and one of those losses was because of that Oklahoma thing, that he may be okay. But I think it's don't make this a conversation is all I'm saying, Hugh. Like let's just get off of the line of just barely doing enough to be passing and having to have the conversation. Well, it was a high D, but it was a D. Like, no,
I do feel comfortable saying this. Like, as someone, as a channel that talks to the guy who would be doing the hiring and firing often enough, one-on-one, I think there's a better chance that he might be safe in that scenario than fired, but with a lot of heat going into year 4.
And I think that is a completely plausible scenario in which he wins 7 games, but buddy, year 4, you might not make it through year 4 starting the way you started year 3.
Yeah, exactly.
9-time champion says, I miss Under Armour already. I don't know why any of this makes you miss
don't.
Under Armour other than those were the uniforms you were wearing when you were winning, but you've been terrible in Under Armour for a long time too. So I miss winning football and I love Nike. So yeah. Rhino Ranchero says we started 0-4 in the SEC in years 1 and 2, and we do that again in year 3. I will be on team fire Hugh Freeze. That's where the line is personally. I think that's fair. So your next game is what's the game after this for
Missouri at home.
And that is a plausible loss the way that Missouri's playing right now. So like going 4-0 and to start the SEC season is 0-4, and to start your SEC season, that's not improbable. And you definitely do not want to be going up against Drinkwitz and that run game to save your season. Like, it could get bad quick.
Yeah.
So how high would Auburn be in the top 25 with a W Saturday? Somebody with something that's at least remotely positive as a question.
In the low teens. I think they jump up like 18, 19.
Really? I don't have. To be fair, I haven't looked at the top 25. I think they'd be in the top 25. I don't know if they jump that high, but
yeah, I do. I think Georgia's highly enough regarded still right now that would be viewed as a really good. Now it depends. How do they win? Do they squeak one by? If they for some reason won by multiple scores, I could definitely see that.
Oh yeah, now if you win by multiple scores, I think that definitely changes the math.
Yeah. So look, man, it's Georgia is still a good win. I don't care. Like they're good. They're a great win.
They are.
If we're calling it a signature win, I'll give them a chance to jump into the low teens for sure.
Mercy, why our offenses has stuck during Georgia defensive down years? They are not good against the pass and can't get sacks and pressure the quarterback. I mean, that's true. Like, it seems like the years in which Georgia hasn't been the juggernaut, Auburn has also been very inept offensively, which makes those games much more interesting than they should be. And Auburn has not come out on the winning side of those very much.
Yeah.
Felix, if we lose to Georgia, we still have 8-4. Just my opinion. Listen, plausible. It's plausible that you could still only lose one more game, even if you lose this game. The problem that you're going to run into, despite the fan sentiment, and this is where I worry, is whether or not the players start to stop believing. Like, forgive me for those of you who have already jumped off the ship. You're not my concern right now. My concern is that particularly those guys on the defensive side start to say, man, F it.
Yeah.
And they start to give up hope. Whatever the breaking point is for those young men, that's where I become like, all right, we got to do something, because now you're not even looking like a team that cares anymore.
I always be on the side of the players. Like, I don't care how you feel about Hugh Freeze. There's no way you're rooting against these guys busting ass in practice every single day, Ike, trying to get it done for them, for their families, for you. I can't root against these guys, man. You know, you can say, oh, Freeze gonna get it done. Like, the players have not earned that negativity. They're not the ones who've earned it. The coach should wear it. That's what he gets paid $6 million a year for. As far as I'm concerned, is to wear that positivity and bear that cross for his team. But right now, I don't think Jackson Arnold should be wearing it. I don't think Cam Coleman should be wearing it. I don't think Xavier Chaplin should be wearing it. That's why I didn't like them talking about his ear thing. Who cares? I don't want to hear that. Keep that in-house for now. That's an after the season storyline.
What do you want him to say in response to a question about Xavier Chaplin, though?
Nothing, just nothing. Like,
I don't have a problem with him telling the truth about a situation. Like,
nothing, man. I just, like, I don't know, because I don't know, man. It hits different right now. Like, you know, in this scenario where you started 0-2 in the SEC, I don't want to hear anything. Like, just move on. Hey, man, we're not talking about that right now. So
yeah,
you don't owe us that. You don't owe us that. It didn't help you.
I don't know that it hurt anything, though, is what I'm saying. It's the reality of a situation, and it actually helps Xavier not be crucified as much. It makes the coaching staff look like idiots because you didn't figure this out before now, but it actually helps Xavier with people feeling like he's just playing poor. It's like, no, he actually has a situation that we're trying to get resolved for him. It's not on him as the player.
I can see that.
UGA's pass rush defense is ranked 125th. Auburn's O-line will either make the D-line look like All-Americans or make them look like one-star players. This is the reality, for sure.
This is exactly what happened versus A&M, though. This is what Ike was saying. Folks was running the ball on A&M. And Auburn, for some reason, couldn't run the ball on A&M because they didn't run the ball on A&M. Don't make these guys look better than they are.
They just didn't try to. That was baffling.
Yeah,
I still do not understand that. I get that. Then the Texas A&M defense has played well back-to-back games. They did well in that last game, but golly, man, like, you didn't even try, man, and that's just what frustrates me. The effort just wasn't there in attempting to get the running backs the ball, and you need to be able to do that versus a team that's shown that they can be susceptible to that.
Yeah.
Jazzy Joe says we need this win. 500 if we win. Let's go.
All right.
I'm here for it. Justin, we needed to start winning 2 games ago. Get good. I'm with you. I think Auburn needs to figure it out, though. You're here now, though. So getting good and all that, they just win the game. Rick Cazenave, I miss Russell Athletic. I'm Russell Athletic old. I'm there with you, Rick. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, we are Russell Athletic old as well, too.
I remember the drives down 280 past the Russell spot. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's still there.
Yeah, I think it's something else there, but there's a building still there. Tristan Pace says, I'm worried that this weekend is where the dam finally breaks on turnovers. I hope that Arnold's can find the balance, throw downfield, and be safe. I mean, that's a good point, right? Does all of this, he's been too risk averse thing, change now, and he starts to try to let it rip, but then he makes mistakes, and now all of a sudden he's a turnover prone quarterback? Like, what becomes the scenario there? I don't know, but I do know that it would be a bad time for Auburn to start turning the ball over in bunches in this game. I don't know that there's a good time for you to do that, but this would definitely be one of the more ill times for that to happen.
Yeah.
Stephen Neely, my prediction: we lose Saturday, but we run the table and finish 9-3. First team on the outside of the playoffs. The Oklahoma loss will haunt us. I would be okay with this prediction, actually, because of course 9 wins would be something I would love to see Auburn do, and you get the win at the Iron Bowl at the end of the season. And I would love to be able to continue to antagonize Oklahoma fans who, for some reason, still are talking about that Auburn game, and how Auburn fans are somehow whining about the reality of being screwed in that game. So I think I would like that, because all offseason I would just antagonize them even more, because they seem like such easy targets. And I hope you're listening right now to me say these things about you. Coop, the creator, says, let's get a few drinks in us Saturday and get rowdy. I don't even know what that means, brother. What do we do? What you getting drunk and like going cow tipping? Like, what are you doing? What is rowdiness? I feel you. Go get loud in that stadium if you're going to be making the trip to Auburn and support your team, is what we're saying right there.
Yeah.
Jazzy Joe, wouldn't it be hilarious if the video board said shh when Auburn is on offense? I guess that's a thing for the crowd noise being an issue. I don't know. I don't want to make fun of our players like that, Jazzy. You got morbid sense of humor, my brother. No, I'm just kidding.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but they got to figure something out, brother. They got to figure something out. Jazzy Joe gifted 20 memberships. Appreciate that. 9-time champion gifted a membership. Appreciate that. Here's the conversation I want to end on for us tonight, Mike, is that if Georgia has, and you already kind of hinted at this, more than 3 sacks, can we agree that the offensive line coach needs to be fired? A team that has struggled to generate pass rushes, has struggled to get sacks. Auburn coming off of a 2-game stretch in which they've given up, I think, at least 6 sacks in both of the last 2 games, 20 sacks total on the season. If Georgia somehow figures out how to rush the passer, all of a sudden, is this a death sentence for Jake Thornton?
I think it should be. Honestly, I think that there's got to be some accountability somewhere for a 33% pressure rate on your quarterback in a year that was widely believed to be one of the better years in terms of Auburn offensive line play. Like, coming into the season, the rhetoric around the offensive line was unlike we've heard of in the last 8 years. Now, we love our PFF stats. Everybody in their mama told me that Bo Nix could not be a good quarterback here because the offensive line was crap. And their pressure rate they gave up on Bo in 2019 was 27%. This line is 6% worse than that. So if you didn't like that line, I don't know how I don't understand how. And maybe this was part of my. I was trying to ask this question tastefully on Monday, but it was almost like, hey, how are we here and there have been no coaching changes? Is it the idea that we're close? Okay, yeah, you're on the scoreboard, you're close because your defense is keeping you in games. But offensively, I would argue you were not close to anything on against Texas A&M. What were you close to? You said it. If not for a fluky interception return by the defense, you might not score an offensive touchdown in that game.
Right.
the floor cannot be no touchdowns offensively, and it certainly cannot be because of bad offensive line play, and nobody got fired. We saw coaches dropping like flies in season for the last couple weeks. Accountability is being asked for everywhere.
Yeah.
Arkansas got absolutely run by Notre Dame, and they said enough.
And I think that that's really the only difference, is that you haven't seen the complete fall apart. Like if they get blown out this weekend by Georgia, literally, somebody needs to be packing their bags on the way out of the stadium.
If it's not Hugh, it's somebody.
Yeah, somebody. I'm not saying who it needs to be, but whether it is because your tight ends haven't played particularly well this season, your offensive line has not played well. Somebody got to fall on the sword, brother. What are we doing?
Like, I've been talking. The wifey and I have been talking a lot about, like, her work things. She's got a lot of subordinates and people under her not doing what they're supposed to do. And what I was trying to explain to her was, look, babe, when you have people under you who do not perform long enough, eventually there will be questions about the person who is in charge of them. Because if they continue to be employed while their department underperforms, they're going to say, why haven't you done something about this after a certain amount of time? Now, I do not take the conversation about firing people lightly. It's families, and not everybody's getting the big fat payout like Hugh Freeze is getting. I'm just saying, I don't know, and maybe because Hugh understands some of more, and maybe that's what's making it hard for him. He feels like, this is on me. How can I fire him? I just don't. I mean, it's getting really difficult to ask fans to hang in while you just say it's going to be different without us seeing something that actually is different. After the Baylor game, it was almost if we were going to be able to move on from the conversation about Hugh Freeze not being able to stick with the run.
Yeah.
It wasn't like it just wasn't that they won, Ike. It was how they won and what he did in that. They were like, look at Hugh sticking with the run when it's working. The first drive, disaster. After that, they never went away from it, and Auburn just leaned on Baylor until they demoralized them.
Yeah, but they just never started versus Texas. They were just
like,
run the football. I
don't understand why that was the team that you didn't lean on and stick with it like you did versus Baylor. Other teams have done it. They weren't some defensive line juggernaut. This is supposed to be a good matchup for Auburn down there. So if you know that it's really just that you didn't try to run it, maybe it is hard to scapegoat Jake Thornton.
Yeah, that's fair.
Maybe it is hard to scapegoat him. It's just getting really difficult for him as the head coach to ask people to hang in there with him while it doesn't appear as if they're going to do anything different, or you haven't really gotten past your worser instincts and you're reverting to base form every time things get a little tough. The thing is it's not producing wins. So I don't know why it's so hard to not go back to that. You're losing. So when you say, oh, we're close, yeah, the defense is close. They're there. They're not even close. They're there. They're giving you a chance to win forward. They gave you 2 weeks straight. They got you the ball back when you punted late in the game and you had to have a 3-and-out. They went out and they did the job, Ike. You couldn't move the ball 10 yards in either scenario.
The Texas A&M one was you literally needed a yard. You needed a yard to keep the game going, and on back-to-back plays, you drop back for whatever reason. Like I still don't understand that.
Yeah,
3rd and 1, 4th and 1, 2 pass plays.
he's got.
I didn't get it.
He's got a lot of people who believe in his ability to be able to get this done. The least of which is not his athletic director is. I'm telling you, man, John Cohen is wanting to hang in here with Freeze. But he is running out of time and options to defend this. Because eventually the people he answers to is going to say, all right, either you do it or we're going to have to come over your head and do it. And if we got to come over your head and do it, what do we have you there for? Just win on Saturday versus Georgia. I don't care how it looks offensively. Just get a win, get to Missouri, and then fix your offense after that. Right? I don't care what Saturday looks like if they win. I mean, if they win a 10-7 game on Saturday, I swear to God, I will not sit here and complain about anything offensively.
A lot of other people will, but yeah,
I will not be
I'm
one
with
of
you. Win the game however you can get there.
Yeah. Georgia is always one of those games where just win it however it looks. It won't, like you said this earlier, it won't fill you with confidence that they're going to go out and do what they need to do versus Missouri. But an ugly win is still better than a pretty loss.
Yes.
So now Missouri, while they're better than expected, they're not Georgia. So and that game's at home. I expect Auburn to be able to go out and win a game like that with the talent that they have. Get back on the train against Missouri. But 2 straight wins, you know what that does for your team right now?
Yeah. Morale changes. Your hope in the program
5-2?
changes. Fan sentiment changes.
Headed into Kentucky?
And I was about to say, and your next game is on the road versus, or actually at home versus Kentucky. You're in a very, very different emotional state as a program, feeling like you're on the road to wait. Wins.
Arkansas.
Oh,
Arkansas.
okay. On the road versus Arkansas, who I don't think has put together anything that should scare you.
No, I'm talking. They just fired their coach, man.
So you got Arkansas. Yeah, if you figure out a way to win these next 2, and you get probably the 2 easiest P4 or SEC games on your schedule after that, Arkansas and Kentucky, and a chance to go against Vanderbilt, which, like, you've got the potential there to figure this out, but it has to start with, again, as you said, any kind of win versus Georgia. Like, I don't care if it is another kick 6 where you just I don't care if it's Xavier Chaplin saving the day again, picking off a pass and running it back into the end zone, and that's the only offensive touchdown you scored the whole day, and you got 2 field goals. I don't care. Just win, bro. Like, just win.
Yeah, this is
Cam Coleman's gonna be in there freaking getting his number retired. Like, bro, just win the game.
Yeah, Cam Newton, you mean? Yeah.
Cam Newton, yeah, I'm sorry. Cam Coleman's going to be in there catching touchdowns, hopefully, from Jackson Arnold, while Cam Newton is there watching his jersey hang in the rafters. No rafters in Jordan-Hare Stadium, but you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah, we might need to suit Cam Newton up by accident. Yeah. Deuce Knight is in the game.
Put him at tight end. I don't care.
Grew a few inches. Look, I understand where everybody's at. I understand the negativity. If you are negative right now, I feel you. I'm not here to tell you that.
Yeah, I understand it. Yeah.
I'm not here to tell you your feelings aren't valid. I think they've earned that negativity through what we saw versus Texas A&M. Not that they lost, how they lost with a almost refusal to run the ball. That's really what, and again, that's why Bruce Pearl's tweet rang so hollow to me. The whole wait till we find an offensive identity. No, Bruce. Come on, man. Don't jump in here 2 days into an administrative job and pretend to understand where fans are at on this.
I mean, again, listen, Bruce is a consummate guy who wants to pump positivity into situations, and he's trying to say, hey, listen, man, let's rally behind our team. This isn't the time to get off the boat. They can still be dangerous. And while I understand what Bruce was attempting to do, to your point, I don't know that anybody wants to hear that.
Nobody wants to hear that right now. Yeah.
Like right now, you kind of just don't really care. Like, I don't really care for all of this. Like, I only care about winning.
Yeah, it's really tone deaf. Yeah, it's tone deaf right now. And it's not what he did, though. Right? He took over. He showed immediate and consistent improvement, overperforming with less talent. Until he finally got to a squad, he was able to run all the way to a Final Four. And then he took that momentum and started pumping out better recruiting and first-round draft picks until he was able to run them to another Final Four. My only regret is he retired before he got the ship. Because I think he earned the right to go out however he wanted to go out. I hope Steven can carry that legacy for certainly. I think and it's the why they decided to go that route, right? Bruce paved the way for that to be able to happen. But the floor for Auburn basketball was we're disappointed in another first round exit in the NCAA tournament.
Right.
If the floor for Auburn football was losing in the first round of the college football playoff, you're not seeing a lot of the negativity that you're seeing here. It goes away. And that is where I think the parallel between where the team is at and where the offense is at right now about how low the floor is what has got people so negative. Nothing's going to erase Texas A&M. Let's be real. They could go on and they could win every single game from now until the end of the season, and every single kickoff, you will be sitting here wondering if it's going to be as bad as it was at Texas A&M.
Yeah, I mean, listen, and the unfortunate reality is if you're talking about a 9-3 team somehow miraculously at the end of this season, that Texas A&M game, like aside from what you feel about Oklahoma and how it ended, that Texas A&M game is going to be the main reason why you don't see a 3-win Auburn get a playoff berth.
Yeah.
Because they're going to look back and they're going to look at that game and talk about, and you can
3-loss Auburn and get a playoff.
Yeah. Berth. You can weasel your way into a couple more wins, but they're going to go and they're going to say, man, but the floor for this team, we saw that clearly versus Texas A&M. Are they worthy of a college football playoff berth?
Yeah. It's where South Carolina was at, right? Like, I mean, I think the precedent was set last year. The committee sent a loud message that while the SEC will always have a chance to get 4 or 5 teams in the playoff, you got to win 10 to get there. Because there are going to be 10-win runner-ups from other conferences that will not get a shot if the SEC has multiple 10-win teams. But it's too hard to talk about a 4th team that's a 9-win team while the Big 12 can't get their runner-up into the playoff. Or you have a really good at-large, or you know what I'm saying? I don't think that's fair to everybody else. We expanded the playoff to give more people a shot at it. Arizona State made it. They came from the back of the pack of the Big 12 last year. They were voted to finish dead smack last, Ike, and they won the whole thing, and they made the college football playoff, and they gave Texas a run for their money. You know who didn't make it? Anyone else from the Big 12.
Yeah.
They all had a shot, but they blew it. Their margin for error was tighter. Because their second 10-win team didn't get in. So, if you lose this one, you're out. That's off the table. I don't care what kind of run you don't have enough good games left on your schedule to justify getting in while wearing that Texas A&M loss, like you said, the way you lost it.
Yeah, again, I think that's going to be the albatross for this team is the way you like.
You got
Had
to run
it
the
been
table.
some sort of epic 4 overtime situation like it was last year, and you lost that Texas A&M game, number one, I think fan sentiment would be very different right now. But number two, I don't think in the eyes of the College Football Playoff Committee, you have a significantly flawed Auburn team walking into a college football playoff environment, which likely you will be on the road in, and you're feeling good about their chances of making a run there.
Yeah. Yeah. This is going to be a remarkable couple weeks for Auburn. Season's not like you still have something to play for. You can play for a great bowl game. You can still win the Iron Bowl. You can be a disruptor. You could be the thing that keeps Alabama out of the playoff. You could do a lot of things even after a loss on Saturday. It's just going to feel different, man. And I would rather Hugh have the momentum of a win headed into Missouri with fans excited and a little bit of hope creeping back in there and ready to show up and yell their faces off to make it as hard on Missouri as possible. And then you get that win, and then suddenly now your season's outlook has changed. And like you said, you got Arkansas and Kentucky in back-to-back games. Vanderbilt, then Mercer. And then suddenly you're at the Iron Bowl, and a playoff spot could be on the line.
Right. Yeah, I say the season changes drastically if you're able to get this one. And not only that, right, when you start talking about projecting forward, this is where we got into the danger zone conversation preseason is the only thing that you've done well if you're Hugh Freeze at this point in time in your tenure has been recruiting. And this is going to be a huge recruiting weekend. You significantly damage your ability to recruit if you go out and you lay an egg in this game. You just do.
Yeah.
You can't look bad in front of recruits in this one.
Yeah, and Cohen said this, like when him and I talked about whether the results on the field had anything to do with Auburn's kind of like dip in recruiting, he said he was adamant. No. And
which I would agree with him prior to the season.
Yes. Prior to the season, I would 100% agree. It was about NIL and how Auburn was treating NIL. And, you know, we saw some recruits start to roll in after the pivot, but still there's a truth about college football that he is trying to get people to understand that recruiting is going to come somewhat in cycles when you spend so much money retaining players like Cam Coleman and, you know, and Perry Thompson. And like, there wasn't a single receiver they wanted to walk out of that receiver room. So they kept them all. There was a cost to that, which means your next receiver haul might not be gangbusters because those receivers see all those guys are still sitting on the roster and aren't draft eligible for a couple years. And you know you're not coming in and starting over Cam Coleman. So, you know, when they reverted back to 12 personnel on against A&M, I was like, oh, my God, I don't even understand. You put the tight ends out there. They're still getting to your quarterback. I did not understand it. Ike. So hopefully the film tells a different story on Saturday, and Auburn is in a much better place at the end of the game because Georgia can lose this game. And like, as I mentioned, I read you guys the standings. Their whole season is still in front of them if they lose on Saturday.
Right.
This is a playoff elimination game essentially for Auburn.
Commissioner Sankey, put the call in. You need more teams from the SEC in the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
Auburn needs to be one of those teams. We just laid out for you the path to which Auburn could still be in the conversation. Yeah. Go ahead and tell the officials. Give us a little home cooking. Make it happen, brother.
Yeah, they cooked it up for Oklahoma. Cooked one up for Auburn here, and figure out how to get these boys. Yeah, yeah. Figure out how to get these boys in a spot where if they earn it, they can win it.
Yeah,
or if they play their hearts out, that they have a chance to win it at the end. So in Jordan Hare, I'm excited to be there. Ike, I mean, we've sat next to each other multiple Iron Bowls now over the last few years. It would just be nice to see Auburn win one of these. I told 4th and 31. I told you all that story. Like I remember leaving you up there and going down and thinking, I'm going to go down to the field for this. These boys are about to pull it off. Got off the elevator. Why everybody quiet? Jalen Milroe, back of the end zone. They did the inexplicable. Rushed 2, did the only thing they couldn't do. Auburn lost. Wow. I don't want to see any of that on Saturday. So if it's close, Auburn's got to find a way to win it. And if you're Hugh Freeze, every trick out of the bag on Saturday and make this thing happen. Auburn, one of the things that I love about Auburn, it is truly a place of second chances. We gave Bruce a second chance. He made the most of it. I think he acquitted himself with integrity while at Auburn. He did the right things. They had some adversity they had to overcome. He was transparent. He did what he needed to do, and Auburn stayed out of trouble. The Chuck Persons thing or whatever that was, man, there were a lot of people who wanted the book thrown at Bruce, and they were upset when the NCAA said, no more. They self-imposed. We're good. We'll hit him with a 2-game suspension. Because he should have known something was going on, but really, he had nothing to do with it. Hugh was given an extraordinary second chance at Auburn. And in college football's toughest league, at a school where it can be done. Auburn isn't just in the SEC. They are the SEC. There are a few schools that are the SEC. Ole Miss is in the SEC. Mississippi State is in the SEC. Vanderbilt is in the SEC. Auburn is the SEC. LSU is the SEC. Florida is the SEC. Alabama, unfortunately, is the SEC. Georgia is the SEC. What all those teams have in common? They have won national titles in the SEC. Auburn is a place where you can do it. And Hugh, you were given a shot at a school where you can do it. He talks about it all the time. One of only a handful of schools to play for so many national titles and win and have so many undefeated seasons in the last 25 years. All in our lifetime. You guys hear me tell the story all the time about how we used to save our guys' trip to see if Auburn in the BCS era, see if Auburn was going to make the national title game, knowing we got a month to plan it. If for some reason they figure out they're going to make it after the SEC championship game, understanding that could be a once in a lifetime opportunity. We got multiple shots at it. Insane. You can do it here. Auburn is the SEC, man. They are at the heart of what the SEC is, a competitive balance that no other league knows. Everyone likes to act like it was just Saban in Alabama. It was so much more than that. Look at the amount of schools that have won national titles since 2000 out of this conference. Insane. Take out Oklahoma and Texas. So not counting any of those. LSU won it. Florida won it, like back to back. Auburn won one. Alabama won it. Georgia's won it. 5 different schools have won national titles out of the SEC in the last 25 years. So it was not just Alabama. They may have won a ton, but they weren't the only ones winning it. And I would argue they didn't even have the most impressive season of the schools that won it. I think LSU probably had the best season of any school that won it. 2019 LSU. And they had to run through multiple good teams to get that title because they had to go through a 14 playoff. He was given a second chance at a school that has done it in a conference that does it regularly. Time to pay that back, man. One win could inject so much hope back into the conversation.
It is definitely on the table right now for this weekend. They just got to figure out how to make it happen. And to your point, it starts with the head coach. He's got to call the correct game. If he's going to be calling plays, you got to figure out how to put your team in a position to make it happen.
Definitely, 100%.
Austin jumps in with a super chat here. He forgot to post the comment, but he did come later and say, I was going to ask if Texas is a fraud for losing to a bad Florida team. The answer, yes. I mean, I don't know what I didn't watch the segment that you guys did. Was Texas on the fraud lists?
Yes.
Okay.
I think Texas made the fraud list. It was an unfortunate reality for them. But look, man, they've been on the fraud list multiple weeks. And I mean, again, you're talking about an elimination game for them. Just to hold on, let me see what we had on the fraud list. We had LSU's on the fraud list this week. Texas A&M is on the fraud list this week. And who else made this damn fraud list? Missouri is on the fraud list this week.
Really?
Texas was on it last week.
Missouri's
on the fraud list this week. It's about the games, Ike. So when you look at the game slate this week for the SEC,
they play Bama.
Yeah, and so this is essentially one of those games where you got this one. You're at home versus Bama, right? And Chris felt like, you know what? If you're ever a chance you're going to prove that you're for real, this is the game. You get run at home, you're fraud. Not necessarily about winning or losing, but if you get run at home, if you're Missouri, you're fraud. Texas A&M has Florida, so they are definitely on fraud watch, right? Because if you lose to Florida, and anybody that Florida plays this year is going to be on fraud watch, right? Like we decided that one. And then who was the other team we had up there? LSU, right? LSU plays South Carolina at home. So you cannot lose that game. So you're on fraud watch, right? And I just want to make sure that distinction is there. It's just like if you lose, you're a fraud, right? Mm-hmm. Or if you lose a certain way, you're a fraud. So we're just watching those games. Georgia could easily be on fraud watch with a loss to Auburn, potentially. And so we only pick 3 every week. This was tough. This was a tougher slate of games to pick this week. Ole Miss plays Washington State. Chris in SEC Unfiltered, they will be at the Red River Rivalry in Texas and Oklahoma, his first one ever, but that's being played in the Cotton Bowl in Dallas. And then Arkansas and Tennessee. And Tennessee easily could have made the fraud watch list this week. You got no business losing to Arkansas right now if you're Tennessee. You're number 12 team in the country. You're 4-1. You lose to Arkansas. That's a bad loss. That's a bad loss. It's only going to be your second conference loss, but that's not one you want to wear on the resume, I think, if you have playoff aspirations. So, this is a pretty good slate of SEC games this week.
I mean, I don't know that there's going to be a bad slate left now that we're in conference play. There's going to be at least 3 or 4 games where
last week was a little weak.
I'm saying at this point going forward, I just don't know that you're going to have very many bad weeks. Most weeks will have 2 or 3 really interesting games because the stakes raise every single week going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be very interesting. Mr. Gibson says, when is the War Rapport going to get tired of having the same convo every year? We already are.
Yeah, I get it.
I'm past tired of it. I really want and we said this before the season. I don't want to sit here and have this same conversation again about what Auburn's doing. I want to have a very different conversation about Auburn football. And they haven't allowed us to have a different conversation yet.
Yeah.
So, but again, that's not really our job. Our job, we don't get to change the conversation. We just have to have it.
Yeah, we gotta talk about what they do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it is what it is. All right, we got to get out of here. Unless you want to give a score prediction before you leave, I don't even have it in me.
I don't either. Look, as I mentioned, let me go back here. No, I'm going to give one because it's a week not to give one. I give one every week, so I will give a score prediction. But looking at like I said, a 3.5 point spread on this one, so it's a coin flip. The ESPN matchup predictor giving Auburn a 35.5% chance to win this game. The over under is at 46.5, so they're expecting game in the mid 20s to low teens.
Mid-20s game,
yeah, right. Like so, Auburn
23-26 kind of game.
Auburn getting plus 140 on the money line, man. Again, I had this in the L column. I hate it. I think I'm gonna go all Georgia like 23, Auburn 17. That's going to be a really frustrating kind of game there, and I'm ready to eat crow on that prediction. I don't see Georgia running Auburn defensively. DJ Durkin is going to have a good plan, and they're going to be prepared, and I think they're going to hold Georgia under 30 points this time around, especially at home. But the question is just going to be, what is this offense going to do?
Yeah, I think that's essentially what it is. Can you score points? And if you can, then you give yourself a puncher's chance in this game. If you can't, it's going to be a long game. It's going to be an ugly game. Probably not a lot of points scored if your defense continues to do what it does. And Georgia continues to be kind of a ball control team that's running the football a lot versus what has been to this point a very stout Auburn run defense. It's going to come down to 2 or 3 plays, whether or not the defense makes those plays or not. And can your offense go out there and put drives together to get you in scoring position and then go ahead and make them pay once you do get there? So Georgia's been susceptible to it. Can Auburn take advantage of it? That's what it comes down to at this point in time. All right, Mike G, we're going to get out of here. Tell the people ways in which they can support the things that we have going on here at the War Rapport.
You guys know the deal. Sign up for a Patreon membership. We appreciate our Green Name Gang. As always, $5.99 a month to get you there. Just hit that join button. Appreciate everyone who gave away a membership on today's live show. Also, do us a favor. Go on over to your favorite podcast platform. Subscribe, download, turn us up, turn us on podcast. We are burning up the podcast charts right now. We need your help to continue. Plug in with us, man. Basketball season is on the way. We're going to be doing double duty. I promise you there will be no lack of content, no matter how Auburn football is doing down the stretch here. We're going to be here every single week to talk about all things. If they don't win, we're gonna have some different kind of things to talk about that I promise will be just as exciting. So plug in with the War Rapport, man, on podcast. We appreciate that. I want to thank our title sponsor, the Rage Room. You can find them in Opelika or Birmingham at each one of the addresses you see here. Get some rage out at the Rage Room. Also want to thank AIMA Associates. That's Abel's Iannone Moore & Associates, your local fiduciaries. Scan that QR code on the screen, man. Get all the information there. As always, you'll see all the disclaimers there for them. Also want to thank the Rogue Shop. Visit rogueshop.com. Use code REPORT to get 15% off your Rogue Shop order. And last but certainly not least, I want to thank our friends at the Vibe Vault. You can get fresh for the weekend with the Vibe Vault. You can find them at 3462 Crosswinds Road, Suite E in Phoenix City, Alabama. Not just barbers, lifestyle consultants.
All right. And for those of you who are out here and want to do free things, share the video at the War Rapport. When you do out there, go ahead and like the video. Let's see. There are 74 likes, and there's been over 400 people in here in mass today. Come on, people, make it happen. Add us on the X's and the Instagrammeries at the War Rapport out there. We're TW Rapport on TikTok. Back at you guys with more content later on this week from the Auburn Express. Game day live right here, pre-game, halftime, post-game, Green Name Gang. I got y'all on some film review stuff for Georgia tomorrow, so y'all stay tapped in for that. But we are out of here until the next time, and as always, War Eagle.